Hello folks, we're going to start working on our BOC experiment and actually writing out the format for what each piece of the experiment is going to be. So yesterday I had you guys figure out what your independent variable was going to be, whether it was going to be more weight, whether it was going to be to change the ears, whatever your independent variable would be. And you guys wrote it right here in this box. Why is this box blank? Because you guys each will have your own thing depending on what you and your partner selected. After that, we're going to go up here to the investigative question. Most classes got to the investigative question yesterday as well. So the investigative question is the ultimate question you are trying to answer in your experiment. So, investigative questions have both the independent variable and the dependent variable in them. So I'm going to remove this. So you have a blank that's going to be here, right here, and that's where your independent variable goes. Now, somewhere in here, I want you to figure out where is the dependent variable. What do you think the dependent variable would be? Take a second, stop the video, and talk about it. Okay, so what effect does blank have on how fast a BOC falls? The independent variable is the blank. The dependent variable is going to be right here, where the how fast a BOC falls. That is the dependent variable because that's our outcome. That's what we're planning on counting. You guys also might have gotten to hypothesis yesterday. That's where we're saying what we think is going to happen in our experiment. So, I think that if I blank, it will make my BOC fall blank. The big part of it, folks, is because. You need to have that because written there. So go ahead, pause the video, and give yourself a second to write that down. Okay, so now you have that done. Let's talk control. That was our question for today on daily warm-up. So my control is always my most normal one, what I'm going to compare to. So how do I know if I add more weight to it, if it made any difference whatsoever? So you have to have something to compare it to. Otherwise, how do you know if it made a change? So you have a control. What is our control for this experiment? Stop the video, talk about it as a class. Okay, your control, your most normal. That's going to be your regular BOC. The first one that you made, the one that we played around with in class, that is a regular BOC. That is going to be your control. Okay, we already have independent variable in. Now we're going to do dependent variable. Okay, you guys already found out what the dependent variable was up here in the investigative question. So go ahead, write that in your dependent variable. Okay, I'm going to leave constants for a second because I want to talk about how you're going to actually be doing this experiment. I want you to think about the materials. Write down all the stuff that you think you're going to need in order to do this experiment. Stop the video, give yourself a second. Okay, so this is what you're going to need. You're going to need your regular BOC. You're going to need a stopwatch. Measuring tape. I have made it so that you are not necessarily going to need a measuring tape. If you look on either side of the room, I have put strings up. We are going to use those as a consistent place to be dropping your BOC from. And then you're going to need a BOC. If you want to abbreviate BOC, BOC, that's fine. BOC with blank. Okay, so whatever your independent variable is, that's where that goes. I'll give you a second to get that written down. Next, we're going to talk constants. Okay, things that you're going to have to keep the same every single time. That means every single time you drop it, you have to be sure that you're doing this exactly the same. So what are some different things that you might have to do that with? stop the video and talk about it. Okay, so some of the constants you're going to need to have are height. You're always going to need to drop it from the same height because that way it isn't fair. If I drop one from 2 feet off the ground versus 8 feet, that's going to make a big difference. You are going to need to make sure how you drop it is going to be the same. Are you going to throw it? Are you going to put it upside down and drop it? Are you going to make it so that you throw it up in the air and drop it? No. You are just simply going to drop it. You're going to put your arm over the line that I have hung up, and you are simply going to drop it down. So that needs to be consistent. What else needs to be consistent? Okay, where you're at is automatically going to be consistent because we're doing this in the classroom. Then, also, let's say if you're not testing weight might need to be the same. Okay, other things that might need to be the same would be if you're not testing ears, the ears would need to be the same. So depending on whatever you're testing, the only thing that should be different is that. All right, so we have constants, we have independent variable, and we have dependent variable. Now let's go ahead. I'd like you to turn to that blank page that you were supposed to leave in between, and we're going to write our procedure on how we are actually going to test this. If you did not leave yourself a blank page in your journal, I would like you to open up to the next page after the experiment. I'll give you a second to do that, so stop the video. Okay, so procedure. What you are doing for procedure is you are thinking about step by step. What is it that you're going to do? So I'm going to have you guys talk about what would be the first thing that you would want to go do whenever you go to experiment. Stop the video. Okay, so step 1 in your procedure. And remember, procedure has number steps. Okay, you're going to make a standard Bugzocopter. You're going to make just a regular one with no fancy frills. Oh, wait, you guys already did that. Okay, next one. Talk about what you think you're going to have to do next. All right, so the next thing that you're going to have to do is hold your hands 2.5 meters above the ground. Roughly, that's kind of what I have the strings do, so you don't have to worry about keeping that. You just need to follow the strings. Okay, step 3, what are you going to do? All right, for step 3, you're going to drop the Bugzocopter and time how long it takes to hit the floor, because that is our dependent variable, is how long it takes to hit the floor, the time it takes it to drop. All right, so that's step 3. Now what do we do? Okay, so now we are going to repeat steps 2 through 3 4 times and record our data. So I don't like writing out all of this stuff over again. There's no reason to. So you might as well make it easy on yourself and say that you're going to repeat the steps again and simply record the data. All right, what's the last part? Okay, for the last one, you're going to make a Bugzocopter with, and then your independent variable is going to go right here because that's what you're actually doing. All right? Think about your short way to abbreviate all of the rest of it because I don't like to write a whole lot. So how would you abbreviate it? Talk about it. Okay, repeat steps 2 through 4 using Bugzocopter with, and then you fill in the blank with your independent variable. All right, so that's the steps that we're going to take in order to use, in order to do the Bugzocopter experiment. We are not going to start it today. We are going to be starting it tomorrow whenever I'm in class. And I'll talk to you guys later.